Welcome back. In this section we look at installation of OpenREM itself, its initial configuration, and launching OpenREM using the inbuilt web server. At this point we'll also install an IDE called Visual Studio Code for editing some of the Python code files. Let's get started. First thing to do is open a new web browser tab and paste the Visual Studio Code download URL into the address bar. Click the Windows download link and save the file to your downloads directory. Once downloaded, navigate to File Explorer, double click on Downloads and double click the VS Code setup file. Click Next on the first window, agree to the terms, accept the default installation directories, click all the additional tasks except register code as an editor. Make sure this is unchecked and click Install. Once the installation is finished, take the tick off Launch Visual Studio Code and click Finish. We'll now want to open a PowerShell window. In the window type pip install OpenREM == 0.8.0 and hit enter. Let the installation complete. Once the installation is complete, you want to jump back into File Explorer, go to the C drive and create a new folder called OpenREM. You want to double click on that directory and create another folder called Media, all in lowercase. We now want to go to C drive again, go into Python 2.7, navigate to lib, jump down into Site Packages, find OpenREM, double click that folder, double click OpenREM project, and we're going to rename two files. We're getting rid of example.example from local settings.py and wsgi.py. At this point we want to right click on the local settings.py file and open it in our editor, in this case Visual Studio Code. On the first launch of Visual Studio Code, it will launch a web browser, which you can minimize, and you can ignore the error messages that come up. Just hit cross on those. There's a couple of settings we want to change in here, starting with the database engine. We want to change this to PostgreSQL_psychopg2 as demonstrated. We want to change the name of the database. In previous videos we called this OpenREM. We want to change the user to OpenREM, and we want to change the password to the one we set previously. You would have set this to a super secure one. Navigate down to media_root and set this to C OpenREM media as demonstrated here, ensuring you put /. Navigate down where it has secret key. You want to refer back to the instructions on generating a new secret key. Navigate down to allowed hosts. We want to change this if you are operating in a secure environment. If it's just for demonstration, you can leave it to *. Read the comments above on what this means. Navigate down, change the XLSX_date to date month year. This is the default, but we want to specify it explicitly. Keep navigating down, change the time zone. In my case, it's Australia, Melbourne. You can refer to the link above in the comments for time zones. The last section where it has location of various tools we will ignore for now. You can refer back to the documentation on what this section means. Now click File and Save and close the editor. We now want to jump back to the PowerShell window, and we're now going to perform some internal Django operations. Navigate to C Python 2.7 lib site packages OpenREM. You can list the directory, and the file we're concerned with is manage.py. We're going to run this with a couple of parameters. Type Python manage.py make migrations space rem app and hit enter. This will prepare some code files for database creation. Now type Python manage.py migrate. This will apply those changes to the PostgreSQL database. Once that's completed, we're going to create a user with Python manage.py create super user. Ensure you remember this password. In this instance, we'll call it admin. You can keep it as your name or any username. Put an email address, put a password that you're going to remember, and confirm it. Now we're going to navigate back to File Explorer. We're going to go up one level to C Python 2.7 lib site packages OpenREM. Double click on RemApp, double click on migrations, and we're going to rename the last file that ends in median.py.inactive and remove .inactive. Now if we go back to the PowerShell window, we're going to check current Django migrations, and we'll see that the add median migration is missing. This is applicable for Postgres installations, as OpenREM will use the median functions available. So now type Python space manage.py space migrate, and this will apply the necessary settings to the database. We can confirm that applied by typing Python manage.py show migrations, and you'll see there's a cross now. We can now launch the internal web server by typing Python manage.py run server -- insecure space 0.0.0.0:80. When you hit enter, it'll bring up a prompt to accept the firewall rule. Click on private networks and allow access. You can now launch your web browser. Open a new tab. Navigate to HTTP localhost as demonstrated here, and the OpenREM webpage should load. You can now sign in using the admin credential you created, but at this stage we won't go into more settings. You can minimize the browser and press Ctrl+C in the PowerShell window to kill the internal web server. In the next section, we'll look at delivering the web content using a preferred web server for Windows called IIS and further configuration. That's all for this part.